This is CBC Vancouver News.
A large fire at Granville Island Marina has destroyed 3 boats and damaged several others.
I am advocating for physician assistance because I have only one set of hands.
And helping BC's crippling healthcare system, the push to have physician assistants operate in this province intensifies.
We want public safety, and we deserve public safety.
And why a group of Nanaimo residents are opposed to a new bus exchange downtown. Good evening, I'm Janella Hamilton. Leanne is away tonight. A fire that broke out on Vancouver's Granville Island early this morning is now under investigation. The blaze started around 2 a.m. at the Pelican Bay Marina. Vancouver Fire and Rescue Services says the large fire gutted 3 40-foot fiberglass boats that were tied to a dock. Emergency crews used fireboats to stop the spread from the water. No injuries were reported and the cause is still unknown. The fire department says one of the 3 boats sank and 7 other boats were damaged. The Canadian Coast Guard was helping out with cleanup operations earlier today, deploying a boom around the vessels to contain any marine pollution and debris in the water. The ongoing healthcare crisis has doctors and nurses burnt out and is leading to longer wait times for patients. To help ease the burden, healthcare advocates are urging the province to hire physician assistants. But as Yasmin Gandam reports, it's not permitted in BC.
Work with physicians to just kind of be a force multiplier for them.
Gabriel Damone is originally from BC, but is now working as a physician assistant with the Canadian Armed Forces, based out of Halifax. His role is to see patients deal with common ailments, allowing doctors to have more time to assist more people.
You know, when there's a shortage of physicians, to be able to use somebody like a PA as not a stopgap, but just an adjunct would be very helpful.
Damone wants to return to work in British Columbia, but in this province, physician assistants are not allowed to operate or be employed by the healthcare system.
We haven't really been given an answer or a straight answer as to why.
What we need are better teams, better healthcare teams, and physician assistants can definitely be a good part of that.
Other provinces and the Canadian military use physician assistants. Recently, a Port Hardy doctor called out the province for not making them an option.
I am advocating for physician assistance because I have only one set of hands.
Dr. Nataros is temporarily suspended from working in the emergency room after Island Health says it received complaints about the quality of his care. Green Party leader Sonia Furstano says those already working in the healthcare system need support so they can better help the many British Columbians without adequate care.
We need to focus on the health and well-being of British Columbians, and to achieve that, we need to ensure that the health and well-being of doctors and healthcare professionals is also being taken care of.
She'd like the health minister to add other layers of support, like physician's assistants. Her concern echoed by the director for the Canadian Association of Physician Assistants.
Physicians supervise PAs and delegate responsibilities to us so that they can see more patients and spend more time seeing critical patients.
While the Ministry of Health hasn't responded to CBC's questions on this recent push for PAs, in December they said the ministry continues to assess the option of physician assistants. Yasmin Gandam, CBC News, Vancouver.
And in Victoria, hundreds of people marched to the legislature today for the 13th annual Stolen Sisters Memorial March, an event honoring thousands of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people.
They deserve to be returned home, and they deserve to be given proper ceremony.
I think that that's what we're up against as First Nation women and as Indigenous women, is people not understanding that we are valuable, that we're worthy, that we deserve to be treated with dignity and respect always.
Cases of women who have gone missing locally were brought back into the spotlight, such as Belinda Cameron, a 42-year-old Esquimalt mother who went missing in May of 2005. Victoria police say her 2 daughters are still looking for answers.
Lives haven't been the same ever since.
Here we can see the mother of a recently murdered Indigenous woman crying as she remembers her daughter, Stephanie Carmen Jade Elk, one of 2 victims in a double homicide that happened in Saanich in October.
It just hits me. And it hurts my heart. And so I have to recuperate again. And I'm thankful for all the people that are supporting me around here.
Chief Archibald also spoke about an action plan which calls on all levels of government to pool in resources to protect Indigenous women. One of the ideas on the table, adding an alert system for when someone goes missing. Newly obtained data shows Indigenous and Black people have more interactions with police in BC, which advocates say underscores the prevalence of systemic racism in the police force. General occurrence reports filed by BC municipal and police departments from 2016 to 2021, excluding the newly formed Surrey Police Service, shows that over the 6-year period, Black and Indigenous people had disproportionately high numbers of police calls made against them, and in addition, having more charges recommended against them.
As a racialized person that spends a lot of time connecting with folks who have had experiences with the police, mostly negative experiences, this information is not a surprise to me. To see it codified, see it in concrete terms, just lets me know that our experience is not invalid.
Advocates say the data shows the impact of policing on particular marginalized communities and how funding should be reallocated to community-driven causes. The data shows in Vancouver, Indigenous people were 6 times likelier than a white person to have police called on them. The data covers thousands of police interactions across the province, including traffic calls, dealings with youth under 18, and street checks. Protesters were in downtown Nanaimo today voicing their concerns over a proposed transit exchange on Terminal Avenue. As Claire Palmer reports, residents worry the new bus station will make existing public safety issues worse.
Bus here! No bus here!
Local business owners and residents who live in the area rallying here behind the Queen's Pub, the same location where the city of Nanaimo wants to build a new bus exchange. But those opposed to the idea say the location could attract more social disorder.
We got your back. This is an inappropriate place for a bus exchange. Yes, I think that something more can be done. I think something more can be done with this property than just having a parking lot for sure. Affordable housing would be one idea that would.
The proposed transit exchange is part of the city's plan to revitalize the downtown area along Terminal Avenue. According to the city's website, the project would create a cohesive, thriving, and livable downtown. The plan is to relocate the existing transit exchange from Front Street. Nanaimo's Mayor Leonard Krogh says council has yet to make a final decision, but he does not believe bus exchanges attract problems.
Transit exchanges attract people who will come and shop and live and work in our downtown, if you will, and that's a positive step.
Colin Middleton is president of the Nanaimo Area Public Safety Association. He says the initial plan for the exchange was brought forward before the current public safety crisis. After a recent rash of crimes in the area, coupled with issues stemming from the toxic drug crisis, many of these Nanaimo residents say they are already feeling unsafe downtown.
If you build it right now and in this location, the city will drive business away from downtown, and that is not what anyone wants. We want public safety, and we deserve public safety.
City Council will discuss further funding for the project later this week. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
And in Whistler, a popular Alpine Meadows trail race has been canceled for this year and all future years. The race's organizing committee sent out a statement thanking the resort municipality and the local tourism board, saying their time in Whistler has come to an end, adding they will not be pursuing any further events within the township going forward. The statement also says after 6 successful editions of the race, it has become crystal clear that there is simply no path forward for us to produce races of this magnitude along the alpine terrain within the confines of Whistler, leaving many avid runners disappointed.
The race organisers a few months ago had said, hey guys, things are a little up in the air, we're not sure. And then just a couple of days ago, it was like they've not got permits. And I think until that point, everybody in the community, we were a bit in denial of, no, it'll pan out. And then, I mean, honestly, I was just devastated.
The organization behind the race says it's proud of what was accomplished throughout its tenure in Whistler, donating $70,000 back into the local community and area trails. CBC reached out to Tourism Whistler, but has yet to receive a response. Canada's Olympic champion women's soccer team has called off a strike against its own governing body. In a statement, the team's captain, BC's Christine Sinclair, says the She Believes Cup is going to be played in protest after they boycotted training Saturday. The players faced a threat of legal action from Canada Soccer after refusing to take the field. They want the same support as the men's team and oppose budget cuts, but they say they cannot afford the financial risk that a court case might carry. Canada Soccer says players were not and are not in a legal strike position under Ontario labour law and has committed to addressing players' demands. Well, if you're in the mood for a party, but not a late night, a group called Home by Midnight is making it easier to do just that, opening their doors at dusk and sending dancers home by midnight. The CBC's Beneath Brach has more.
It may seem like any late night party, from the DJ, bright lights to the booze, but all these guests share a goal.
A common denominator is that desire to be home early.
This is Home by Midnight, a group dedicated to parents and those who say they love to dance, hate clubbing, and need to be up at a reasonable hour.
So you can get home and get in bed by midnight. And then get up in the morning and be with your kids or take them to soccer practice or just, go about your day.
While in many clubs, the party starts late, here the beats are bumping, nice and early. These moms have waited months for a night like this.
We like to have fun, but we're all parents of children that are in elementary school, and we need to be home by midnight.
We really wanted to dance, but I don't know where we could go where we wouldn't feel like we're 1,000 years old.
Parents are letting loose, living their best life for the night, joining their closest friends.
Yeah, well, often, you get these opportunities at limited events, like weddings, and so you got to wait for a wedding before you get to go dancing.
Similar parties are also being hosted in the U.S. This New York Times article mentions Before Midnight, another event for music fans who are juggling children and careers. Meanwhile, this group started in 2018, and after taking a break during the pandemic, the dance shoes are back on, with parties every other month, and the guest list keeps growing.
We've sold out every night we've done this.
Their hope is to bring the party to other parts of the province. And while some of these parents are ready to call it a night, these party goers in the Granville Entertainment District are just beginning. Beneath Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
A wind warning has been issued for all of Metro Vancouver from the North Shore to the Fraser Valley, with strong wind expected to gust up to 90 kilometers an hour on Vancouver Island and near the Strait of Georgia. Inland, Environment Canada has issued a snowfall warning for the Coquihalla Highway from Hope to Merritt, with periods of heavy snow expected to fall Sunday evening through to Monday night. Parts of northern BC and around the Fraser Valley and Nicola region may see 20 to 25 centimeters of snow. When will it taper off? I'll have your full forecast later in the show. A fourth object flying over North America has been shot down by U.S. forces. That story is next. There are now 4 unknown flying objects shot down over North American airspace, 3 of them over the past 3 days. And unlike the first one to be down last weekend, there's little word about where these objects originated, leading some to ask whether they're even of this earth. Katie Simpson reports.
A rare Sunday appearance for the Prime Minister.
Good morning, everyone.
Underscoring the urgency of the situation at hand.
The safety of Canadians is our #1 priority, and that's why I made the decision to shoot down the object that was a threat to civil aviation and a potential threat to Canadians.
Justin Trudeau gave the order himself to take out an unidentified flying object over the Yukon on Saturday, one of 4 in North American airspace in the last 9 days. The latest was brought down this afternoon over Lake Huron. American and Canadian airspace was temporarily restricted, allowing a U.S. fighter jet to shoot it. The Pentagon worried it could spy on military sites and posed a threat to civilian aircraft. About 24 hours earlier, an American fighter jet took out the one over the Yukon. Debris is scattered in a remote area near Dawson City. Recovery will be difficult because of the terrain. The FBI is helping the RCMP, Canadian Armed Forces, and indigenous communities. On Friday, over Alaskan airspace, an object the size of a small car was downed over the frigid waters of the northeastern part of the state. And off the coast of South Carolina, a week ago Saturday, a Chinese spy balloon was shot out of the sky.
What's gone on the last, 2 weeks or so, 10 days, has been nothing short of craziness.
The Pentagon now says the Chinese spy balloon is different than the other objects, and that radar is being closely scrutinized out of an abundance of caution.
I would prefer them to be trigger happy than to be permissive. What I think this shows, which is probably more important to our policy discussion here, is that we really have to declare that we're going to defend our airspace.
Politicians in both countries are seeking greater clarity from officials in the hopes that conspiracy theories don't fill the void.
I looked at social media this morning, all of a sudden massive speculation about alien invasions and, additional Chinese action or Russian action. In the absence of information, people's anxiety leads them into potentially destructive areas.
In a briefing held by the Pentagon late Sunday, they confirmed when the object that came down over Lake Huron, it likely landed in Canadian waters, they say. They're also looking at objects on a case-by-case basis and making decisions independently about whether they need to come down. The Pentagon isn't sure how these objects are staying aloft, specifically saying they're not calling them balloons for a reason. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
The death toll from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria continues to climb, now surpassing 33,000. There were more miracle rescues, but they are dwindling. Looting is a growing concern, and Turkish authorities are now blaming poor building construction for amplifying the disaster. In Syria today, the UN said a rebel group is preventing shipments across the civil war's front line, leaving just one route open from the border with Turkey. It was a high-scoring, back-and-forth contest at tonight's Super Bowl, but in the end, the Kansas City Chiefs won their second championship, in 4 years. History was also made at this year's playoff game. As the CBC's Stephanie Mercier reports, the NFL acknowledged the indigenous land on which the Super Bowl takes place with a special cultural performance.
Patrick Mitsouing is no stranger to the stage, but for this one, he is.
I'm still pinching myself, that I'm here and I'm part of everything.
Mitsouing is Cree from Makwa Sagagan First Nation in Saskatchewan. He performs the traditional men's fancy dance and runs a dance company. This week, he's showing tens of thousands of football fans what he can do. This year, the Super Bowl invited performers like Mitsouing to showcase indigenous culture in the lead up to the game. At an event last week, for the first time, league officials read a land acknowledgement.
I feel like, long overdue, but so excited that they're doing it.
But some want much more change. While a couple of pro teams have discarded controversial nicknames, Kansas City still uses one, the Chiefs, and uses a fan chant, the Tomahawk Chop. Indigenous groups say it's cultural appropriation, and the team is the focus of repeated protests.
I just want to be seen as a human being.
and not as this thing you're mocking.
Groups like Not in Our Honor advocate against the use of Native American imagery in sport and hope positive steps like this aren't just a token.
What's going to happen after Super Bowl leaves? Are they still going to carry this on? I would hope so. And we would hope so going forward with other Super Bowls.
Mitsuing feels change is coming.
I know when I was growing up, it was hard for me to find someone I could look up to that looked like me. And now we're taking up all these spaces and being included. It's so amazing.
Amazing, he says, for this and the next generation to see. Stephanie Mercier, CBC News, Vancouver.
Here is a live shot of Cambie Street and City Hall. It looks like it's pretty clear out there, but will the rain come our way? I'll have your full forecast coming up next. All right, it is time now to take a look at your full forecast. Let's begin with a look at the current temperatures around the regions. 4 degrees in West Vancouver, 6 degrees at the Vancouver Airport, 5 degrees in Pitt Meadows, 6 degrees in Abbotsford, and a little warmer with 7 degrees in Bellingham. Moving along to tomorrow's forecast, let's begin in Dease Lake. High of a -5 with flurries and wind chill that will make it feel more like -10. Over in Prince Rupert, chance 2 degrees and a chance of rain showers or wet flurries and a risk of thunderstorm. And Prince George, 1 degree with a chance of flurries, mainly cloudy, however. And Williams Lake, 1 degree, 40% chance of flurries and some very strong winds. Moving over to Victoria, that wind is continuing. A wind warning is actually in effect for some of the areas with wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour in some parts, a mix of sun and clouds and rain showers in other parts of Victoria. Cranbrook, 3 degrees with a mix of sun and clouds. And let's take a peek over at our 5-day forecast in Metro Vancouver. Lots of wind on the way, sun and clouds Wednesday. A bit of a rainier Tuesday for your Valentine's Day, and then that rain will taper off for Thursday and Friday with just some periods of rain. A pod of southern resident killer whales made an appearance in Burrard Inlet on Friday. That is so cool to see. Stanley Park Ecology Society volunteers were on their way to do a bird survey at Brockton Point when they saw these orcas. Fisheries and Oceans Canada says it's not unusual to see orcas in that area, and there are rules that boaters must follow around the whales. What a sight. Such a privilege to be living here on the West Coast and get to see those sorts of things. That is your late news for this Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, you can head to our website to get news at any time, cbc.ca/BC. Have a great night.